Well, in my last video, I finished installing the Nibbi carburetor. I took out the original stock carburetor and put in the Nibbi. But since then, I've made some changes to it, and I wanted to bring you guys along and show what I have done in case you might want to do it yourself. I ran into a couple of little problems putting the cover on, and I wanted to show you all about that. And I also put on a new muffler, cut off the exhaust pipe, put on a new muffler. I'll just show you my finished product, and I'll let you hear the sound of it when I'm done. But I have it all finished, and I took it out for a little ride. I wanted to wait and bring you guys along for the first ride, but I couldn't stand it. I had to take it out, and it ran great. But I'll tell you about that. I'll do a video on that probably pretty soon. So let's get in a little bit closer. Okay, I'm going to take the seat off. And then we'll take this side cover off so I can show you. And there it is. Now, if you remember on my install, I had this filter on there. Well, this filter, it's got a rigid metal piece around it, and it hits on this cover on the inside. This cover's kind of bulky, and it hits on it, and it doesn't want to sit all the way in there. So I ordered me another Nibbi air filter, and I'll put a link down in the description to this air filter. But it's a foam, double foam, and it works well. Fits in there good. It's got a slight angle to the rubber, so it puts it up tight against the air box, and I think it's going to do good. This does push a little bit onto the air filter, but it's not going to hurt anything. That's one modification I had to do. Another is the idle adjustment. See, it used to have this little wheel on here, and I took it off because it was hitting on the cover. So after I took this off, I had to make an adjustment with this somehow. It was kind of hard to get in there because it was right next to the cover. So I just cut a slot into that where I could use a screwdriver. So it's very easy to use a screwdriver. You could use your fingers, you could put a wrench on it, whatever you want to do. But it fits good that way. Another thing is, as you can see here on my cover, I had to do a little bit of modifications in here. That lip that was all the way around here, I cut that all the way off, and then I had to do a little nibbling in here. I left it like this so you could see what it looks like. I'm going to touch it up with some black paint, and you'll never know. So anyway, when I put it on, it fits nice and snug against there. Once I put the bolt in, let me bring you over here. And right in here where you could see where it's nice and snug, it was really tight and it was hitting right on the bowl of the carburetor and underneath. So I had to trim that underneath and trimming around right here too. But now I can adjust this if I need to, and it works perfectly. And it tucks nice and tight in there, so it looks good with the cover on it. Now let me take this off again. I want to explain something else here. Now right here is where the snorkel went for the carburetor. This piece right here. Now I took this out so it left a big hole there. Now I want to leave my air box in. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm leaving mine in because I'm allowing my vent hoses, pollution hoses, all that stuff to go into my air box. And I'm going to put a piece of foam on the end out here where the air comes in at to stop dirt and debris from getting in there. But I want this air box still in there for that purpose. And I'll probably do something else with this air box later on. I got an idea of what I want to do. But for now, this is what I've done. I wanted to find a nice piece of black plastic that I could cover the hole with, but didn't have anything available at the time, so I had a Cool Whip lid. So I took a oil filter socket, whatever you want to call it, thing that fits on an oil filter. They're nice and round. So I put it on there, cut it out, and I used some RTV on there to seal it. And it's doing really good. So the other thing I want to show you about this air box. Okay, now I want to show you something I had to do here. Let's pull out this cover. Okay, this air filter that comes with your bike is made to fit with this tube on the other side. So it's snug like that. It fits into it like that, and it holds the air filter in place. Now when you remove this, there's nothing holding the air filter anymore. And I want to leave this filter in. You could take it out, but I want to leave it in. So all I did was drill a hole in it and put a bolt down the middle of it to hold it in place. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to put this side cover back on. I'll show you how easy this is to go on. It snaps on just like it did before. Put the bolt in it. That's all there is to it. Fits nice and flush. Everything works like it's supposed to. That Nibbi's nice and tucked in there. Okay, now this is what I've done to the exhaust. There's the muffler. I'll get it back a little bit so you can see it. It looks really good. Fits in there nice and tight. It looks good from behind. It's facing out a little bit, as you can see between the swing arm and the muffler. It has room in between that. It has room down here and between here as well. So it fit really well. I had to do a little bit of modification in order to make it to work. I'll talk about that for just a minute. Now this is the muffler. This is the catalytic converter in here. Look down in that. I don't know how well you can see with that on camera, but it's got a honeycomb down in there. Pretty heavy muffler, and it's got a lot better flow without this. But anyway, I cut it right up here in front of the catalytic converter, and I bought one of these pieces that come with most of these exhaust systems. It's got just a little bend in it, but it was a little bit short to fit in here. So what I had to do is I had an old piece of pipe laying around, and I had to cut off like 5 or 6 inches of it, and it was this is exact same size as the end of this, which is 51 millimeter on the outside. So I had to make one bigger so I could slide it over. So I took this one, took it out to my truck where I have a 2-inch ball, and I heated this up with a propane torch, set it over the ball, and then put a block of wood over it and hit it with a hammer. And I kept doing that until it drove down onto the ball. It makes it nice and round. I do have one of those muffler expanders, but it doesn't make it nice and round, and they're pretty difficult to use. So that worked out really good. And so now I slip this on, and the other end of that slips into the muffler. So that worked out good. The only thing I had to buy extra was these 2 clamps. I didn't have to, but I didn't want to use springs. The springs would have been too far away, number one. And number two, these clamps will hold it a lot better. I don't have any leaks right here at all. Okay? And then here, I mounted this behind the foot peg on this side of the foot peg. If you put it on the other side, the muffler will rub on the swing arm. So you put it on this side, and it works out really good. I'm going to set you back here, and I'm going to start it up. Now, the bike is cold. I haven't started it for a couple of days even, and I'm not going to pull the choke. So let me start it up here. Turn it on. It's got a nice deep tone to it. Sounds really good. Okay, before it gets too warm, I'll take the baffle out of it. Everybody wants to hear what it's like without the baffle. So I'll do that. Personally, I'm not going to run it without the baffle. Okay, the baffle's removed, which is right here. I'm going to start it up and let you hear it without the baffle. Okay, that's what it sounds like without the baffle in it. It's a little bit too loud for my taste. It does sound really good, but it's a little bit noisy. I'm going to be taking it to the campground and stuff, so I don't want it to be too obnoxious. But even with this baffle in, it's a little bit loud. I don't think it's obnoxious loud, but it's a little bit loud. So I bought some good fiberglass matting. It's made for wrapping and quieting down your exhaust. This is made in USA. They have different products. They have different products of this, and some of it says replace every 30 days or something like that. This is supposed to be good for a year, so I'm going to see how it does. If I don't like the sound with the baffle in it, I'm going to wrap it. I may do that on video and just show you the difference in the sound and what it's like to wrap one of these, which shouldn't be too big of a deal at all. But that's what my plans are for the muffler. Anyway, stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to have a ride video, and I'm going to show you the acceleration of it and see how well it runs. So I appreciate you guys watching. Think about subscribing to my channel. I've got a few things in store I want to do. I may even be getting another bike, an old one, coming up, 1978. Supposed to go pick it up in 2 days. But I'll tell you more about that later. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.